Okay, here we go. Here's my question for you today. I want to know how often you are tested. I'm talking about you. If you have goals, if you have dreams, if you aspire to have more, how often do you get tested each and every day? I would just go ahead and say every damn day, every hour, every minute, in fact, right? Okay, think about this. If you have goals and dreams, are you tested because when you wake up in the morning, the alarm clock gets you up? Do you hit that snooze button? Or are you getting up and being intentional towards and being purposeful towards what your goals are for the day? How about are you being tested each and every time that you know you should be doing that 10 minutes of exercise, doing those crunches, doing those push ups, doing those side steps, doing the bicycle, whatever that is, are you being tested because you find an excuse to get out of that one particular thing? It's called consistency. Hey, you're also being uh, tested. I don't want to say consistent. You're also being tested, right? If you're using your phone and you're scrolling on your phone, instead of using your phone purposefully, intentionally to be able to do your posts, to do follow ups, to make meetings, whatever it is that you need to do in order to move towards your goal. How about this? How about you skip following up with other people if you need to do that? Whether you're talking about your own business, whether you're talking about um, sales, same thing as business, if you will. Sales, doing those follow-up phone calls, whatever that is that you need to follow up, you make an excuse, and that's when you're tested. What about here? What about you listen to other drama? You listen to other conversations where people come to you and have it you and want to know your opinion about this and that and the other, instead of you actually taking stock into your own self, into your own personal care, and to really thinking about what it is that you need to do to be able to move forward instead of being in a bunch of drama. You're being tested to see if you can be consistent and reeling that yourself back in to be able to move forward with what it is that you have going on. What about your health and wellness? I already talked about exercising. What about eating right? If you are being tested, if you are wanting to have a good diet, right? Excuse me, but you don't actually take the time to actually meal prep or plan out your diet and you just grab something because you're on the go, you have a lot that's happening. Well, that could really fall apart, couldn't it? So, what are you being tested about and actually being consistent in what it is that you are eating to fuel your body, as well as the supplements? And I also talk about supplements because that is so important in our daily diet, in our routine, because we don't get it from our foods. So, if we're not being consistent in what it is that we need to eat so that we can be ready to go to be able to conquer those goals and dreams, then we're just going to have another excuse. And that's how we're being tested because we're not taking our health seriously at that point. And then what about overall health? Well, not just health, but overall learning and development, gaining knowledge to be able to go to your next level. We can't stay at the same place and want to go somewhere else without our own growth potential. So, what are you fueling? What are you investing in for your personal self? Okay. So I ask you again, do you feel that you're being tested? And here's the thing, we have to open our eyes to see that that is what's going on right there in front of our face, right? We have to realize that all these little distractions is keeping us from what we're moving forward. And being tested is just part of the whole routine. It's the whole ideal. So if you feel like you're going through your day and you have these goals, you have it all listed out. I'm a person, I like lists to be able to cross things off. That shows me I'm accomplishing that, right? I don't know about you and what it is that you like to do, but how do you know that you are actually accomplishing your goals? And what are you being tested about? And are you recognizing in that moment that this is getting you off your game, that you're not really focusing in or dialed in? And so, what I want you to do is just think about this as you move today and going forward. Okay. Because what I love about this is when somebody plants something in your brain or you hear something that's different that maybe you haven't even thought of. And that's what I love sharing, giving people a different perspective or giving you an aha moment so that something will trigger a good trigger that's going to help you on your personal journey. And so when we are utilizing utilizing and thinking about what it is that we need to do and to conquer, and that we are being tested and we need to pass that test. One of the books that I've read in the past, I looked at the date in the book, and I read it almost 2 years ago in May, and it's called The Slight Edge, and it's by Jeff Olson. And it is an amazing book. And it talks about when you do the little steps, the little simple things, move into consistent action, is going to help you to have the slight edge. The slight edge is what you have over somebody else who isn't doing anything. The slight edge is because you are consistent in your day to day and moving towards your goal. So when you think about being consistent, when you think about being tested, if you're consistent and moving forward and realizing what it is that you need to do and get you out of, it's like we all are human, right? So we all just need to wake up in the moment. And that's okay because, and in particular, I'm talking about if you're scrolling on your phone, for example, and you don't even realize that you're doing it when you wanted to actually make that phone call or make that follow-up call or get connected with somebody who you're able to help out or that you are going to be able to work with in the future. That allows you to stop for that moment, think about what it is that you have on your heart. And here's the question, perfect question. Is what I'm about to do or what I'm doing right now actually helping me towards my goal? And if the answer is no, that's the test. You've already passed it. Okay. So I just wanted to come on here because I had a lot of different things going on myself. And I'm like, I think this is a good topic to talk about. So whether you're talking about your overall health, you're talking about your income, you're talking about growing in your knowledge, or you're talking about having more time, whatever that means, whatever that is, and how you define that for yourself, make sure that you are passing the test. Have the slight edge even if you're having to compare it to yourself. Don't compare yourself to somebody else because that's a different journey. But just know that where you're at and where you're growing to be able to have the slight edge to move forward so that you can be consistent and pass the test. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. You're on with Doing the Most with Danya, and hopefully, I've given you something to think about in a different perspective to have you pass the test towards your goals and dreams. All right. Again, you're doing the most with Danya. I will talk to you later. Look forward to your comments as well. All right, take care.